get my headphones.
Hold on.
Good morning. Can you hear me? No, I guess not.
All right. Can you hear me
Good
now?
morning.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I
I'm
can hear
tired.
you. I'm not.
That's because it's not 7:30 where you are. Anyway,
I woke up at 6:30
yeah, I'm tired.
and went to church.
Shout out to you. My church doesn't start till 11 o'clock, so
Where did ONeil go?
I'm not really sure.
I saw him. He didn't say. Let me call him.
Yeah.
You was up late?
I wasn't up until 1 o'clock.
Right. Yeah, I think I was up till like 1:30. Oh, yeah. What happened? Where you at? Really? Wow. All right. All right, bye. His computer died.
Okay.
Yeah. That second, the second one, I'm not gonna be able to make.
Well, honestly, he actually had he had an issue at the time. He told me that he wouldn't be available until 2 o'clock my time, but I won't be available at 2 o'clock my time. So we just won't.
Sorry about that.
No worries, man. What's up? What's going on?
What's going on with you?
Not much. Not much.
Y'all can see me all right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. How y'all feeling this morning?
Pretty good.
I'm
Pretty good.
He's exhausted.
It's
a long night.
No, it's a long day. And
yeah, me too.
A long life.
Right.
I had a wild one this morning and last night. Well, I had to get a new phone, so I lost all the information about this. I tried to go to my virtual office. I was locked out with my key, so I had to run to my parents' house. That's why everything a little slow.
Okay.
It's all good. Cool. Let's kick it off. Huh? You said you're ready?
I'm great. I'm rested. Went to church this morning. Got an event today.
What?
So I'm good.
That's what's up.
All right, cool.
I've been seeing you around a lot, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, man. Same here. Same here. All right, cool. Let's kick it off. So this is the Todd Capital Millionaire Podcast, episode 114. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire. It's not 114. It's definitely 114.
It probably is. That's a lot of episodes. That's all.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was crazy. It's a lot of people. It's not even just a lot of episodes. Like each episode is a different story. So that's what's so crazy about it. But nevertheless, my name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, founder and director of the Todd Capital Investment Club, with Rashana Scott out of Chicago.
Outside.
In Hills. Please make sure you leave us a rating or review, preferably a 5-star review. Like, share, and subscribe to the show. Help us get the word out. The more people that listen, the more lives are changed. Thank you all for tuning in. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors so that people can hear the stories of successful examples because they exist. We want people to learn that business and investing are the true keys to financial success and generational wealth. With us today, we have Mr. ONeil Parker. He is out of Chicago. He also goes by real estate entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, man. He's out of Chicago?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
Well, actually, that's really dope because that changes a lot of things because it's a lot of people doing some cool stuff in Louisiana.
Yeah, man. We're doing
Wait a minute. I just want to ask, what made you think he's from Chicago?
I just assumed because he was at the bus tour. And
man. I just fly around and make it places.
Yeah, and I think I saw something with you in Mobile Home Elite.
Yeah, that was all around the same time.
Okay, I thought that you. I don't know.
Man. I just spread out my content so it make it look like I guess that I was there at the same time.
I told you it's easy to make assumptions through social media. So.
That's true. That's why you got to shoot a DM and find out.
Right.
Very easy. But yeah, no, the accent is very much so.
That too.
I don't have no accent.
So with that being said, Mr. ONeil Parker, please introduce yourself.
All right, my name is ONeil Parker. I'm 25 years old. I'm a real estate investor in Lafayette, Louisiana. I invest in 3 different markets right now: Lafayette, Lake Charles, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My main focus is buy and hold, but I do buy and hold, rehabs, fix and flip, well, same thing, wholesaling. Also do credit repair and business credit. That's just a little bit about me.
Can you tell us what life was like growing up?
All right. Well, I'm at my parents' house right now. So life growing up, I'm not going to say the typical story, but I grew up in the hood. My dad was an entrepreneur. My grandpa was an entrepreneur. So it's kind of in the blood for me. Grew up with a family of 5, brother and sister. I'm the middle child. Always been a hustler. I like the hustler, the feeling of it. But growing up, my parents wanted a better life for us, so we was in Christian school. They worked hard, try to provide that life for us. Let's see. When I was 14, I'm skipping a little bit. My brother died in a car accident, so I was 14, he was 17, so that was a big impact on our family. That changed a lot of things. My sister is also special needs, so now I'm really like the only one that's, that can grow the generational wealth and stuff like that. So how I really got involved with real estate is my parents are real estate investors. My dad is the only African-American man to own a building in the downtown of our area. So that was a big impact. My dad, he's in the hair industry. So every time I grew up in the hair industry, so I go downtown to the shop. I was growing up around big buildings, seeing buildings all the time. So that really piqued my interest in real estate. So around the age of 13 and 14, I just really fell in love with it. And then in high school, again, I'm just kind of going all over. But in high school, I was a hustler. So I started selling candy. I was selling Capri Suns. And then fast forward, my brother, he wasn't the best guy, so he would steal a lot. So we started stealing from Walmart, stealing cell phones, putting them on eBay, selling to people, breaking into cars, doing all kind of stuff just to make money because, we was hustlers. That's what we grew up with. We seen our parents. We seen my grandpa, so we did stuff like that. So I wasn't the best kid. And then went to college. Only went to college because I was playing football. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I really didn't want to go to college. I knew it didn't have anything for me. I wasn't the smartest kid. I cheated middle school, high school, and college. So I really didn't try in school because I knew what I really wanted to do. Let's see, what else? Yeah, went to college, played football, broke my leg, and then after that, I got a job, just quit college. I transferred all my credits to the community college so I could just get out, at least have something. Started a job. I was working, I was working at Pepsi for a little while. And then I started in the career I'm in now. I do inspection, rope access, in the oil and gas and chemical industry. So that's just a little rough draft about me.
Nice. Before we move on, I want to talk about the building that your dad did, because I know that we might go down a rabbit hole. So can you tell us, a little bit about that property and how he acquired it? Did he develop it? And do you still own it? Just some more information about that one.
Right. So my dad, like I said, he's in the hair industry. So he was a barber, and he was renting the building from a white guy. And then one day the white guy asked him, "Hey, would you like to buy this building?" He said, "But you'd have to buy it in 2 weeks, I'm sorry, for $50,000. So my dad he had a little bit of money, but he had credit. So he went to the bank and hurried and got a loan for it. And now he's still on that building today. He bought it for $50,000. Right now it's worth like $500,000.
Wow.
And instead of so he stayed in the building for like, let's just say 10 years, 15 years, something like that. And then he thought about it. It would be smarter for him just to go cut at his cousin's shop, pay booth rent like $120 a week. So that's like what, close to $500 a week. And now he rents the building for $3,000 a month.
Nice.
So it made sense financially for him to move out the building to rent it. So now it's a restaurant.
How big is it square foot wise?
I'm really not sure. I don't want to lie to you.
Okay.
I'm really not sure. It's a nice size building. I see it's probably like at least about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a nice guy.
So this might be repetitive, but why real estate?
I always liked it. I just like big buildings. I like owning stuff. I like controlling property. So when I was 2021, I built my first house. And my parents, I didn't tell my parents until it was a week before closing because I didn't want to hear no negative thoughts. I don't like hearing all that stuff like that. So a week before closing, I said, like, I'm about to move. I built a house. They was like, what? Why would you do that and not tell us stuff like that? I was like, I know what I can handle. I know what I control. So I didn't want to hear nothing y'all had to say.
At 21?
Yeah, 21.
Wow.
So they was like, no, you don't need to do that. You need to get an apartment first, stuff like that. I was like, why would I pay somebody else to get rich if I could just own my own thing? So that's really piqued me into real estate, and I like the passive income aspect of it. And I like building stuff and see things go from, studs to beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was your very first deal?
Yeah, that's my little intro to real estate, you could say.
How'd you make that happen, man?
Well, it was time for me to go. So I was 19, I found my girl was pregnant. I had a baby at 20. So for that first year, we was living apart. And I didn't grow up like that. I grew up with both parents in my house. So I wanted to get the family together. So like I said, I was in college, and then I started working. I was working at Pepsi, and then I found a job what I'm doing now. So the job was in Baton Rouge, which is an hour away from my house. I don't like driving. So I was like, man, I need to do something. So I started riding around in Baton Rouge, got with a developer. He started building a house. I think he just put up the walls. So it's, the foundation was there. He just put the walls up. So that was maybe a month in, 6 weeks. So I got with him. I was like, man, I need to get a house in the next 3 months. You can help me out? He said, I have this property right here. Went look at it. After that, we did a little consultation. I started ordering all the stuff, made it happen. So it was a big risk because I was switching jobs. I was in between jobs. And I asked the mortgage company, would that affect anything? They was like, no, as long as you have a job, you're good. So I had the credit. My parents always raised me, save your money. When you're 18, get your credit right. So when I was 18, I went to get a CD at a bank. So by the time I was 21, my credit was pretty good. I think it was like a 720 at that time. Mm-hmm. So that's how I made it happen. I just did it. Took a risk, switching jobs. And then the job that I got, I was a temp. So I didn't even know for sure if I was going to get the job. But going in, I was confident in my work ethic. You know, I worked very hard at everything I do. So I knew going in I was going to get the job. So I got the job out of 12 people. I was the only one to get a job. Mm-hmm. So I made it happen, and then I just built the house and got it.
Yeah. And you said you got with the developer. How did that happen? Because it's not too many 21-year-olds running around hooking up with developers.
So just riding around, you know, you see developers developed by whoever. So I seen the signs, looked it up on Google, and then made it happen.
Smart.
See what you got going on. I see you building houses in this area. I'm looking to get a house in the next couple months. Can you help me out?
You knew you wanted a house, but do you know that you wanted a house built, or you knew you wanted a house? Because it sounds like you clearly skipped like the realtor part. Like you didn't even call up a realtor.
I didn't use a realtor. I didn't use a realtor. So I made a promise to myself when I was 15. I was going to either build a house or buy a house by the age of 21. So I'd rather build a brand new house than get in a house that somebody else lived in.
Right.
It costs the same. So why not just build young?
Before I ask you to break down the numbers on that house, I think what's interesting here is that a lot of people are looking to buy a house, but they're waiting till like their career is like rock solid, no mistakes, and they don't realize that it's kind of like what I tell people with marriage is when you hop into home ownership, a lot of other things kind of lock in for you. It's like the richest man in Babylon says, like the man who owns his own home puts more effort behind his work. So therefore, you might not be the greatest employee because you don't have any reason to be the greatest employee.
Right.
To really go out there and hustle and build your business because there's really no motivation pushing you in. So that's kind of what I hear when you say that. But can you tell us the numbers on that deal and just kind of help us get a better grasp of what that looked like financially?
Okay, it was $160,000 total. So I paid $164. The mortgage for it was $947. That's pretty much it. It was. What was it? You know, it wasn't bad.
Was it worth $160 when it was done, or did you have some equity?
Yeah, I had a little bit, not much. I think $5,000. Okay. It wasn't much. So it was a company called I don't know if y'all have my dad, but it was a company called DSLD. So it's like a company that just builds a whole community, but you get to pick out if you want this house. Like let's just say they have like 12 blueprints you can pick out of. You can pick out of those blueprints, and then you want the granite, you want the colored walls, you want the shutters this color, stuff like that. So that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. But a year, I stayed there a year, I think a year and a half. And then after that I rented it out for $1,450. So I was getting cash flow after a year. And then I sold this house in December. I owed I think $142, and I sold it for $176,000.
Nice.
Yeah, so I made a little profit.
Yeah.
So you say you just sold it last December?
Yeah, December of 18.
Okay.
Yeah, because I sold it because I had an FHA loan tied to it. So for me as a real estate investor to leverage that now, it wouldn't have made sense for me to refinance it because at that time I think interest rates was climbing. I think it was like around 4.7 or something like that. And I had it at the 3.5, and that was the lowest at the time that I got it. So for me to leverage that FHA loan now, I can buy a fourplex or something like that. So really, why keep it with that house?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the deals after that. So that was your first purchase as a homeowner. What about your first investment?
Well, first I got into wholesaling, but my first investment was.
Well, we can start there. How'd you get into wholesaling?
Okay. Like I said, I was sitting in my house when I was 21. I was like, man, I need to get some extra money. Started getting on YouTube. Wholesaling popped up. flip a house, no cash, no credit. I was like, man, this gotta be a scam. So for the next like week and a half, I was just, getting YouTube videos in. I ordered me a book, stuff like that. And then I just started wholesaling. And I started my business with $63. I bought some blank bandit signs on a fat Sharpie marker and then just went at it. So went put out the signs, did my marketing. About 3 weeks after I put out the signs, I got a phone call. Guy wanted to sell his house. I didn't know what to do. I was nervous. Had to get back on YouTube. What I do when somebody called me? So you just got to take that risk. You can't be scared. But the first deal, the guy called me, got the house under contract for $70,000. We just had that big flood in Baton Rouge. I don't know if y'all remember that. In 2016, Baton Rouge had that big flood.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, y'all not from around here. But we had a big flood in Baton Rouge. So I got the house for $70,000. It was fully gutted out just to the studs. It was worth $220 to $240. Had the house under contract for $70. I sold it within 2 days for $72,000. I could have sold it for $80, but I committed to a guy before that. He showed up to the appointment with his proof of funds, bank statements, all kind of stuff. So I was like, let's go. And I committed to him because he was the first one. The next day, somebody came with $80,000, but I like to do that.
Would you do that deal differently now?
Oh, yeah. I would at least wait a week, accept all, see what kind of offers I had before I before I committed to somebody. But I just want, I want that whole experience.
Right.
I didn't want to miss out.
What's dope is every time you say something, like pull it out for the people. But what's dope is you started with what you had, man. You created wealth with $63.
I had more. It's just you see all these YouTube videos. You can start with little to low money. So I started.
With, can you say that again? Because we think we got to go and spend hundreds and thousands and
you can, man. As long as you can think, your mindset is good. You can start. Even like if you don't have the money, go get the credit. If you don't have the credit, you have the time. You just got to bring something to the table. You don't have to have everything.
Right.
So everybody was saying low money, no credit. So I wanted to see if it really worked. So I had, I'm gonna put this $63 into it, and then started. So it started from 63. I made 50,000 in 4 months, and then after those 4 months, the following 12 to 13 months, I bought 1.3 million worth of real estate.
Wow.
And my market is not like y'all's. Our market is pretty low end. So all the houses I bought was between 40 and 80,000.
Wow. How many doors in total now?
I have 16 right now because I sold some of them. Like I sold the first house, I did a flip, did a couple of flips. So I have 16 right now.
Awesome.
How many free and clear?
None right now. I leverage them. I put lines of credit on them and buy more rentals and do stuff like that.
Interesting.
So the lines of credit that you're using, are those all in business, your business name? Those are business lines?
Yeah, you don't want to mix business and personal.
Right. So explain, break that down to us for somebody who hears this and a light bulb goes off and they like, man, I want to buy my houses and leverage a business line of credit. Walk somebody through that process. Okay. Well, the first thing is make sure you run the numbers before you even buy the first deal. So now I'm going to just go back a little bit and then go back to your question. That's cool? Yeah. All right. So my first buy and hold deal was a wholesale deal. It was 28 days in. It's usually, your contract is for 30 days. Nobody wanted a deal. I didn't know why. So I just started praying. I was like, man, I guess this is my opportunity to buy my first house. So I called the lady. I was like, I don't know if nobody really wants your house, but would you be interested in taking 80% of the purchase price cash and then owner finance the extra 20%? And she was like, I don't know about that. Let me go pray and talk to God a little bit. So she called me 2 hours later, and she was open to it. So my first deal that I purchased was zero money out of pocket, and I walked away with $22 at closing. So the purchase price was $56,000, and it appraised at $73,000. And when I bought it, and then I painted the walls, and I changed the flooring in 2 rooms. And 6 months later, it's appraised for $100,000. Wow. So that's equity. That $56,000. Between the $56,000 that I owed and the $100,000 that it was worth, that's a lot of equity that I can use and play with. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I went back to the bank and I pulled out a line of credit with all that equity.
Like a HELOC.
I use that equity now to fix houses, buy houses, and I keep leveraging to further my career in real estate and buy more property.
And that was a home equity line of credit, right?
Yeah, through my business.
Right. Interesting.
So did I answer your question?
I think you did answer her question, but what's cool about that is you didn't do a full gut rehab. You painted the walls and changed the floors. And I feel like there's a lot of value that can be created just in those two things.
Right. Just by doing that, it raised like $27,000.
Right. Like, you don't have to upgrade everything in the house. If paint does wonders.
Yeah. It could brighten up a house. It could make a house look totally different just by doing that small thing. And that's all I did, because that was all really was wrong with the house. The house was pretty solid. And it came with an extra lot. So probably this year or next year, I'll probably build a duplex on an extra piece of land. So now it's going to raise the property value tremendously.
With these HELOCs, are you going with national banks or are you going with small, local, regional banks?
I only use small banks because there's a big difference between a small community bank and let's just say a Chase, Wells Fargo. They have to follow a strict guideline. They're not really bending the rules because that's a big company. They got to follow, whatever's set in place, whatever's set in stone. Community banks, they got wiggle room because they need the money and they need the community to go, to bank with them. So a community banks really can bend the rules and they can really be personable with you, and then they don't have a huge chain of command to approve loans and stuff like that. So that's why it's really important to use your small community banks rather than Chase, Wells Fargo, and Capital One.
It's also kind of important when you live in a low I don't know what to really call it, like what's the best
poor area.
The low price point.
Right, low price point, because Chase doesn't have to do loans in that market. They're like, Newport Beach home or
home in California.
Right. So it's like it doesn't even make sense to really go to them for that purpose. Whereas the bank that's only in Louisiana or only in Chicago or only
know the area. Chase don't know the whole United States. They only know Chicago, Houston, New York, California, where all the money is and all the big buildings. Because it only makes sense. Because I think banks reinvest our money anyway into buildings and stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
So they're not coming to Louisiana.
So
our biggest building might be 200 foot.
They definitely in Chicago, and they all over the place. I don't know why you think we don't have Chase in Chicago, child.
Well, I mean, South Side Chicago.
Oh,
you might not.
There's Chase on the South Side of Chicago.
He throwing shots.
Ain't he though? You know what? It's okay, Parker, because he wasn't here on the bus tour, so he couldn't experience all of the awesomeness that Chicago has to offer. But anyhow, you're absolutely right about community banks, because I was actually talking to a good friend of mine recently who's a mortgage broker, and I'm trying to figure out how to structure this deal that is a 4-unit. However, the owner did the very smart thing when he first bought it and separated all the units into separate pens. So now it's like 4 condos instead of a 4-unit. And looking to purchase the building and obviously do creative financing, it has to be some type of, like, now it's a commercial loan or portfolio loan or something like that. And my friend who is the mortgage broker, he recommended that I go see a community bank, because like you said, they can bend the rules a little and they can take on deals that are interesting. So I'll be having that conversation with a community bank this week about like a deal like that. So yeah. And they've had trouble selling it, obviously, because, nobody can obviously get FHA financing for it. No homeowner, no owner occupant, like that's the commercial portfolio loan, essentially. But yes, so community banks, that's the key. So how did you, taking it back a little bit. So in regards to starting wholesaling, so like how many houses did you wholesale before you really transitioned into the rental business model?
I did 17. And then out of those 17, I really did 3 or 4 by myself that I actually saw. So I did virtual wholesaling because I still had a full-time job. So I was making stuff happen while I was at my job. So out of those 17, I really seen 3 or 4. I was in 3 different markets at the time.
Wow.
Which markets?
I was in Lafayette, Lake Charles, and Baton Rouge.
Right. We talked about that.
And so what was your highest profit on one of your wholesale deals?
16,000.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't that much. It wasn't them $100,000. We don't really have that out here like that.
One of the things I always tell people is like wholesaling isn't just wholesaling as much as it's just sound real estate investing.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, the properties that you still hold, are you still getting those through your marketing and through your wholesaling tactics, or actually going through somebody else?
Oh, definitely wholesaling. If I don't get it from my own wholesaling company, I get it from wholesalers in my area. I only bought in my whole career, I bought 3 houses of the MLS. 2 rentals I bought like 3 months ago in my own house that I recently bought like 2 years ago. That's it. Everything else is direct to seller from a wholesaler.
Would you agree that the more people that find out about a deal, the less lucrative that deal becomes?
The cheaper you can get it.
Right, exactly.
A lot of people see it like on the MLS. The prices keep going higher and higher.
It's
but
kind of
you can find good deals on the MLS. Just people are too lazy to look for them. So you want to look at bad pictures, because regular homeowners
break it down for them.
Regular homeowners pictures sell. Like people, like I'm gonna just say, like Rashana, she gonna send good pictures to her clients, because if they see bad pictures, they're gonna be like, "Why are you sending me this?" They're not gonna want to go to the house. Right. Bad commenting or bad remarks, because don't you have to put like house is beautiful, small little cottage, stuff like that. If it doesn't have, good things like that written on the listing, who wants to go see that house?
Right.
So if you attack those houses, that might be a diamond in the rough, because the realtor is just lazy.
Right. Yeah, and I'll say this, as a realtor and an investor, a marketing strategy that we're doing right now is actually putting properties on the market to get a higher number. Because
as a wholesale?
Yeah, wholesale.
Yeah, I do that too.
Right.
Yeah, because you know that when it is on the market, it's going to get that exposure.
Millions of people see it instead of just those 5 active people you got on your buyers list.
On your buyers list.
Yeah. And the price just goes up because it's like, why is this house so low?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes. One of the reasons I prefer to go direct to the seller, and this is going to sound kind of like mean, but when you go direct to seller, you're not dealing with somebody who does this daily. You're dealing with somebody who does this once every 15 years, versus when you go through a wholesaler, they know their numbers, they know what they want, and it's really difficult to get what you want out of the deal when you're going through a professional as opposed to when you're going through a novice. As crazy as that sounds, but
that's true. And then you don't have that middle person trying to eat, so they don't have to add on that 5, 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever. 100%. Or you don't have a realtor that, if she lives off of that commission, she don't have to push up the price. So you're just going directly to the seller.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can get the price low to see if they're really motivated.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's important to also mention that when we go directly to the sellers, like, we're not in the business of taking advantage of people.
Right. Y'all want to give them the highest price point they can because it looks better for you and you're making more money.
Yeah. Like, my first wholesale deal fell in my lap. But the seller walked away with like, I think $19,000. She ended up owing like back taxes of like $12,000. But she was just like, I want out. And essentially it's like, when you go into that situation, yes, you are getting a great deal. And, if the numbers work, it's a great deal. But we're also in the business of helping people. And we get rewarded for doing so. So like you said, when you do go directly to the seller, yes, you can cut out the middleman, and maybe potentially what you would have paid an extra 5 or 10 for, that might go directly to the seller, depending on how their negotiation skills are. So I think I definitely think it's important to highlight that. So switching from wholesaling, so that's how you got your start. And I think that's also a great thing to note, because a lot of people start wholesaling. But let me ask you this, like, was the goal always to transition to eventually being a landlord and owning rental properties? Or were you like, oh, this wholesaling thing is good, like, I'm gonna be wholesaling forever? Or did you know that, you were going to transition?
Honestly, going in, I never wanted to do wholesaling. Okay. Since I was younger, like I said before, I always wanted to own stuff. And to me, as soon as I figured out wholesaling, I was done with it. Because actually, wholesaling is transactional. That's just another job. At the end of the day, you don't own anything when you're wholesaling. So that's why I'm not really a big fan of it, because it takes a lot of time. And at the end of the day, you just got money sitting in your bank account. What's the next thing? I'm not a fan of money just sitting, making pennies in the bank. Got to have your emergency fund after that. everything got to go into an investment. Because if I'm not making money, it just don't make sense. So
Right.
at the end of the day, I always want to do buy and hold and do a couple fix and flips to pay out the leverage that I use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was always my main goal, is to own as much stuff as I can.
So 16 houses in 4 years.
Nah, it's about to be 3 in October. No, 3 in November. I'm sorry. 3 years in November.
16 houses in 3 years.
Yeah.
So tell us about, what was your most difficult deal?
Whew. It's probably as in buy and hold, or just deal in general. They haven't been really too difficult. I think the most difficult part deal I ever had was wholesaling, doing the daisy chain thing.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
That was the second house I ever got under contract. So when I got that first house under contract, I got 2 in the same day. It was a father and son. So I sold the son house first, and then the father house, I was marketing stuff like that. And then a wholesaler came like, man, I got this buyer, this, blah, blah. All right, cool. You know, I show love. I just want to make the deal happen. So they had the house under contract. Let's just say, about 60 days. So the wholesaler kept telling me, the buyer, they're getting their money together, stuff like that. So they kept pushing it on and on and on. And then after a while, the seller he was just tired of it. It's like, man, it ain't my fault, man. You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess it is my fault, but I didn't know any better because I was new in the business.
Right.
So I was thinking they really had buyers and stuff like that. And then after the 60 days, it was just like, they wasn't serious. So you just wasted all my time. And you made me look bad. You made my company look bad because we didn't close the deal. And I didn't keep my promise to the seller like I promised. I was going to buy the house. So that was the most difficult thing, I believe. But everything, you know, on my buy and holds really been smooth as in the buying process. Now, on the rehab side, that's a whole different beast.
Before we go there, can you tell us what you learned from that transaction?
Basically, first, know who you're dealing with, because I didn't really know the other wholesaler like that. Because like I said, I was brand new. I was like 3 weeks in the business, so I didn't really know what was going on. I trusted it. I trusted them way too early, you know. But really, learning who you're dealing with. You know, do your research, do your Facebook checks, do your background checks of who you're actually dealing with. Look at their reviews, because after our deal was done, I was searching around looking. She didn't have the best reviews, you know, and I should have known that going in. But like I said, I was new. I really didn't know. Really build your buyers list. Know what you're doing before you go to a house. But you really learn a lot when you fail too. So I think I learned a lot in that little thing.
Yeah. So did you eventually end up bringing a buyer, or that deal was just like killed?
It was just done because the man was like, man, I'm ready to be done with this. So I think he sold it maybe 2 years later. He was like one of them sellers that's like an asshole, you know.
Uh-huh.
If you can't give me this 75, I ain't messing with you.
And so you just mentioned, you know, one of the key takeaways was building your buyers list. What tips would you give to someone that's looking to do that?
All right, for a newbie, it's real easy. It's not as hard as people think. So how I did it, I don't even know if it's legal, but once I got a house on the contract, I put it on Zillow like I was the owner. So people is attacking the listing. I don't know if it's legal, but I did it. So that's one way. I don't know if you want to use it. Another way is going to your local Section 8 office. All those people are usually landlords and their buyers. They're looking for more properties. It's either they're looking for more or they're looking to sell.
That's dope.
So you can check that out. Another way is for rent signs. If you're riding around, see a for rent sign, it's landlords. Call them up, say, hey, are you looking to buy more properties like this? Or are you looking to sell this property like this? So while you're making your buyers list, you're always looking for motivated sellers as well. Craigslist is not the best, but you can use it. Really going to your local real estate meetings, RIAs, meetup.com, Bigger Pockets, networking with other people, and just telling every realtor you know what you do. Telling people what you do, because you never know. Your uncle might be a buyer, you just don't know.
Right.
Talk about it at the family table. It might be uncomfortable, at Christmas, but you really never know. You might have a couple friends that got a couple million that's ready to spend. So it's all about networking and telling people what you do and talking.
Right.
Networking on Instagram, social media.
It sounds
really
like
a few little tips.
Also, it sounds like the 10X principle. It's like it's a bunch of stuff. It's not just like, oh, go to RIA meetings and that's it. It's like,
nah, you gotta talk. You gotta talk
right.
when you do. That's how I learned everything that I know is from really RIA meetings.
Yeah, RIA meetings are dope. They're inspiring because you'll get around some people in real life. They're doing real stuff, not just on social media, not just from afar. Like people in your backyard are doing some major stuff. That's a real big hack. Like, yeah, podcasts are great, books are great, social media is great, but get out to your local.
Seeing and touching people is a whole lot different.
Right.
Yeah. I have a confession to make.
What?
Don't tell me you haven't been.
I've never been to a RIA meeting.
Wow.
Or start one.
Start your own. I started my own this year.
I'll give you
You kind of have your own RIA. You already have your RIA with all your meetups that you do.
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to hear that.
So anyway, back to the.
He was talking about rehab problems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So my biggest rehab problem, you already know contractors, but I tried to look out for our cousins and our uncles. So I tried to do this house with all people.
Uh-huh.
That was the worst decision I ever made. I tried to give them a chance. I was like, let's see what they can do. So the rehab was supposed to take, let's just say, 2.5 months. It stretched out to 6 months. I tried the painter, electrician, carpenter, everybody. They don't show up, or they drinking on the job. They want the money before they even start. They do one door frame. They want to get paid for it. Come on, man. It's not. I just can't do it, man. I'm running the business. They not. I tried to look out for them. I kept the good people out of them, so I got just one good person out of all the people, and he's still one of my painters today. So, you could try, but
you gotta go.
Nah, I ain't messing with it no more. I'm sticking to my Hispanics and my other people.
Get the job done, man.
Yeah, and they be there. They loyal and they show up on time and they work all night. Like people gotta tell them go home.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they have such a different work ethic than our cousins and uncles?
It's all about the mindset. Growing up in the house, growing up in your home, stuff like that. I'm gonna say Hispanics, they risk a lot and they sacrifice a lot. So you see, let's just say a 3-bedroom house, but you might see 15 people in there. And at the end of the day, they probably bought that house cash. So they really have to work for what they want. They're not. I'm not gonna say all of them, but a lot of them are illegal. So they can't buy vehicles with loans. They can't buy houses with loans. So they go out and get it. And then when Mexicans, Hispanics come, they bring in their whole family. So in our community, some queens think they don't have to work. So they get it in. They want all the luxuries, but they don't want to work for it. So
they don't just get it in. They get it in Monday, Tuesday,
yes,
Wednesday, Thursday,
holidays.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
They building houses in my neighborhood right now. They working on Christmas, Thanksgiving. It's raining. They still, if they working on the outside, they go on the inside and get stuff done. So,
not just 8 hours a day.
Yeah, they working 16, 17. Sometimes they on 24-hour shifts. They, right. Some people work 16 and the next people come.
And the crazy part about it is a lot of times people think that it's not lucrative. They think they do all this stuff for nothing. Like, no, they do it because it works.
Right. And they're starting to get paid. They're not cheap labor no more. And I don't mind paying them because they show up and they get it done. Instead of 2 months, they'll be done in 3 weeks because they bring a team of 17 people.
I used to work in banking, and I was working in the district where a lot of the immigrants were. And so you would see like a lot of these older Hispanic people coming in with fat
cash, a lot of cash.
Bro, they are paid, man.
Suitcases.
They work and they live together, but they're not poor.
Yeah, they do it for a reason though. 15 might live together for a year, and then 2 people out of that family might buy a house, and then they bring cousins from Mexico or whatever, and they just keep doing it. And then that's the difference between our community and a whole bunch of other communities. We don't want to live with no 15 people. We don't want to sacrifice, sleeping on the sofa, sleeping on the ground. So they sacrifice a lot, and that's why they own a lot. That's why the Indians own every corner store, They sacrifice. They don't have to live and buy things that they don't need. Instead, we like to buy things that we don't need because it makes us look rich instead of actually being rich.
Right.
So that's the that's really it. At the end of the day, they're not riding around with luxury items like Mercedes and stuff like that. They be in a beat up Ford with a ladder in the back. Like they're going to work. They're going to get it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They might have a Camry, but most of the time they in beat up trucks getting it in.
But I think a lot of that also, it's kind of why Jews do the same thing. They don't want the attention.
Yeah. They look broke as hell, but they paid and they own everything.
They don't want the negativity that comes with shining, because a lot of negativity comes when you shining.
Yeah, and they come to America with a plan. So they've been here 5-10 years and they own all kind of stuff, and we grew up here and we don't own nothing.
Right. It's also like the entitlement of us. Like when you are an American citizen, you feel like you just are bestowed all the rights that come with being a citizen. Like, I deserve this. I'm owed this. They're supposed to do this for me. And you end up just sitting around while the next person's hustling. Yeah.
Yeah. They come with a purpose. And we think everything is supposed to be easy, but we losing at the end of the day. We spend the most money and own the least amount.
That easy stuff. I have a hatred of the word easy, and just
Me
like
too.
chasing what's easy.
Nothing easy if you want it.
Right.
All of it's worth it. And it take a lot of effort.
You'll say like, oh, I own 16 homes, and somebody said, well, it's not that easy to own 16 homes. Well, why we only got to do what's easy? Like, why don't we go out there and chase what's difficult and just force our way in the door?
All right. The difficulty get paid. If it's easy, everybody could do it.
Exactly.
That's why I think the success rate for wholesale is so, horrible. I mean, so low is because people don't realize how hard it is. Yeah, you see them $6,000 checks, but you know how many follow-ups you have to do? You know how many appointments you have to go on?
Right.
People don't talk about that. They just show the check. And then people see like, oh, I'm going to start this whole selling things. 3 months later, they own something else. Now they selling baseball cards. So they just following what's hot. And I think real estate got real popular in the last 1.5 years, 2 years. Everybody got real estate in their bio. But not, you don't see too many people doing it,
Right.
But I think it all go back to now you hear rappers talking about entrepreneurship and real estate, and so now everybody want to do it, but few people.
I think that's dope. It's just, I always tell people we got to be diverse in our industries.
Right.
We can't have everybody can't do the same thing. And have an actual economy. Like, you can't just have a bunch of trucks on the road and nobody actually makes the tires, or nobody's changing oil, or nobody's a mechanic, or nobody is making the fruit that goes inside of the truck. We got to have everybody doing different things in the community.
Right. And that's our thing. We chase what's shining. It's not cool if you got to do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's risky, and you don't want to risk failing and being a loser in front of everybody else. So it's like, well, let me just do what everybody else is doing because that's safe.
Yeah. But the money is made when you do something different than everybody else because nobody's doing it.
That's what Rashawn Scott just said last night.
Yeah, it's just like stocks. When everything crashed, there's a time to buy. When stuff hit the news, it's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah. So how do we change that? How do we shift that? How do we encourage more people to invest, become homeowners, do what's different?
That's very hard, but I do it now. Like, I host free real estate meetups once a month, teaching people about, things that they don't hear about their house. Like, I try to make a community that is, you can talk about this, because it's kind of hard to talk about investing and stuff like that if nobody in your family ever did it. So first thing they say is, that's some BS. Get out of my face. That's not real.
Right.
Why are you telling me this? So I started a real estate meetup, and it's been pretty successful. One person made $5,000 in 6 weeks. Another person made $13,000 in like 2 months. Another guy who I coached, who is a coworker of mine, in a year and I think a year and a half, he has 60 houses, but a year and a half of me teaching him, what to do, he had 43. So it's really working. And then another guy, it just made a year in April. He bought 5 houses, making over $10,000 a month. He's renting out each room instead of the whole house. So each room he rents out for $200 a week. So it works. You got to actually do it. That's the hard part. People hear it all the time, but they don't want to do the work because it's hard. It's not easy. So that's kind of That's why when you said that, it's kind of hard to tell people because they see it, they hear it, but they're just not doing it.
It's a mindset shift in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if your mindset ain't right, you're not about to do anything.
And that is why the book Rich Dad Poor Dad is so great. It's not even a how-to manual as much as it's a mindset manual.
Right.
It's like, bro, everything you thought was right is wrong.
Yes.
Here's the right way to think. And then when you start seeing the world from that lens, then you start doing the work.
Right. So, like, I just got a DM. I get DMs all the time. How could I get started? I think this morning I checked at least 6. How could I get started? All right, the first step is go read Rich Dad Poor Dad, then get back with me in 2 weeks. You should be done with that book in 2 weeks. If you can't read that in 2 weeks, you're not serious. If I go look on your Instagram, you're still popping bottles in the club every weekend, this business not for you. You're not ready yet. Your mindset not ready. You're not, you gotta, your mindset has to grow before you can grow in business.
In a lot of ways, it's just the mindset, man. Yeah. Like that kind of goes back to what we're talking about with the difference between Hispanics and African American people in America. Right. It's the mindset. The same country, the same circumstances, the same president, the same economy, different mindset.
Yeah. And just that mindset shift is that's the difference between $10 and 10 million.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
What you think? How you think we can change it?
I want to hear that, Rashana Scott. What do you
let's
think?
hear what you got.
Because you asked that question a lot.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I am a host, okay? I'm answering the questions.
We're having a conversation, though. The best conversation is the best content.
Right.
How do we shift? Exactly what we're doing now. The podcast, which is free. Whatever we posting on our Instagram or our Twitters or our Facebook, which is free. Whatever YouTube videos that we are putting out, which are free. Just encouraging more people, pushing more people. It's so funny because I don't think my family, even though they were supportive, I don't think they actually believe that I could be like where I am today. Right. And now that they see it, everybody's so supportive and so this and so that. But I've been talking about it for a long time.
But they didn't see it.
No, they didn't see it. And so I think it's encouraging more and more people to talk about it, regardless of your current situation, regardless of where you are, regardless of that job. Like, that greater is in you and that you are going after it and going forward and just continuing to do the work. So really just encouraging more people to do that. Like, I have a 20-year-old right now who we're going to bring in and put him on one of our projects to, I don't know, do demo paint, do something. But he came to an event that I spoke at. They saw me posted on Instagram. They came out, he and his girlfriend, they're both 20 and they're both so excited about investing. And the other day he hopped on my live and he was like, man, my parents are telling me like I'm too young, to think about investing in real estate and stuff like that. And that is such a limiting belief. That's such a limiting belief. And like, basically changing the narrative, and instead of the whole no you can't, like yes you can, you really can, like with whatever your mindset is. So, and just continuing more people to educate themselves, because that's where you lack confidence. You aren't confident because you don't know, right? But the more you know, the more confident you become. So educate yourself more and more and more. So how we change the culture is exactly what we're doing now. So
what you said, my parents was the same way. Like, you're too young to get a house. You don't know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, you know what you can handle. Yeah, you made me, but you don't know what I can handle. Me as a person. So you just got to do it. Don't be scared to take a risk. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if I don't make the mortgage payment, I lose the house, I go back to your house. I could start all over. I could build my credit back up. I can go get a job. It's not that intense. Just get it done. Don't be scared and educate yourself. That's what we lack a lot, is at the education part.
Right.
We want to skip that and just look cool on YouTube. So let's go. All right, let me go win.
And what do you say to the people that can't go back home when they fail?
Oh, that's a good question. Figure it out. My parents, they didn't do nothing for me. Like in high school, college, my dad didn't give me nothing. He gave me nothing but encouragement and advice. Here you go, son. Go do it. When you actually doing stuff and fail, you figure out stuff real quick.
Right.
If you have a house and you lose the house, you better sell everything in the house to do, go buy yourself an apartment or a mobile home. You got to do something. You can't just give up on everything.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out. Stop looking for handouts.
Yeah, because I think I went in on another episode about that, and I think I called it the figure it out mentality.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Like that's if stuff hit the fan at the end of the day, figure it out.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. It is what it is. You got to make it happen.
And then I think we also should take responsibility for where we are in our lives, right? Like, oh, I got 3 kids, 2 baby daddies, and like, and not even being funny, like serious. There are people in those situations, and they having a hard time. They working a part-time job, and they can't see more for themselves, because they're
limiting themselves though.
Exactly, and so what I think it is definitely one, taking responsibility for where you are in your life. Everything that has happened in your life is a result of a decision that you've made, right? So once you accept that, then it's a matter of, okay, yes, this is my situation. Now, what can I do about it? How many calls can I make? How many different searches can I type in Google until I find out what I'm looking for on YouTube or whatever the case. So like you said, having that figure it out mentality. But I mean, and I wanted to just really go there because I personally know people.
Me too.
I personally know people like that. I'm sure we all do, and it's like, what you say? You say you don't?
I don't. I don't hang around people like that anymore.
That's because you over there on the West Coast in LA, and
everybody rich over there, man.
They perfect, living in bliss. They just stay in the sun every day. They ain't got no problems. It don't even rain in Southern California.
Right, they got their toes in the sand, looking at the beach.
Everybody working around. You walking on a TV set, just walking down the street. Hollywood. Anyway.
It's all fake.
Yes, having the figure it out mentality is key. And I really hope that people take that and don't take it harsh, but take it and run with it.
I think that was great. That was a great word, Rashana Scott. I think that you gave the people what they needed in that. Cool. Shifting back to real estate and less of the spiritual stuff. What would you say was your most memorable deal?
The very first one, the very first house, the very first wholesale deal and the very first rental I bought, because it was crazy that I bought a house with no money in my pocket. That's just crazy. And you don't really hear about deals like that all the time. So I think that was pretty cool and very memorable. And the first wholesale deal was like, damn, I just made $2,000 and like didn't put a lot of work in, but it took a lot of effort. It wasn't, so it's very memorable.
What was your most successful deal?
I think that first one too, with all that equity, that was just good. Everything about the deal was just smooth. The only bad part, I don't know if y'all had that in California, but it was in a flood zone. That's the only bad part about the whole entire deal.
How do you get around the flood zone issue? Because I hear a lot of people who like, don't invest in Louisiana because they have floods out there. Oh, don't invest in Houston, they have floods out there. Yeah. What's the workaround when you run into those circumstances?
Flood zones that's something that FEMA does. So it's just lower areas. So you can either add dirt and build it up to get it out of a flood zone, or you just gotta pay your flood insurance. That's it.
Flood insurance. And flood insurance sometimes can kill the cash flow.
Yeah, I think my flood insurance on that property is like $430. So it's really not that bad at the end of the day. So if it do flood
a year,
I collect my check. Yeah, $400 a year.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad, yeah. So I wouldn't ever see, that was me not doing my research at the beginning. So I would never buy in a flood zone again unless it just come with a lot of equity. But
right,
yeah. But you gotta just pay it and just keep it pushing.
Right. But I feel like that flood zone stigma kind of it pushes people away from those areas when there could be some opportunity there.
Yeah. It's not pushing me away. Like I said, the number's good. And the flood insurance, I look at the quotes before I do it. It is what it is. I don't care what a deal is, as long as it makes sense. Numbers matter.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like people they don't want to buy houses with mold and,
fire damage, water damage.
Plumbing issue. That's the best deals because nobody wants them.
Right.
That's deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all about running your numbers.
That's
Don't
the
matter
gym
what's the
there, people.
circumstances. You just gotta get it done.
And so with your 16 rentals, do you self-manage or you have a property management company?
I self-manage 14 property management too. I wanted to try property management, but I think I'm good managing on my own. Because property managers, they make the most of their money on the repairs. So every time something happens, I just tell them to call me and I just send my own people. So I think I'm gonna just get rid of the property manager because it's not really benefiting me. I think I'm about to open my own property management in-house. Once I probably get to about 20, 25 units, because it's not really that hard. And I can still do it while having a full-time job. So if something happened, they just call me. I just send people out. So it's not really that hard.
Do they call you and just leave a voicemail and you get back to them?
Yeah, or they send me a text, either one. I'm very responsive, you know. Customer service is everything in business. So I usually reply to them within 30 minutes or an hour, just depends.
16 doors, people self-manage, and people out here like, I don't want to get one because I'm going to have to manage the property and the tenants. You're doing 16. So
that's the people here, though.
They ain't got a full-time job.
People hear that from people that, you know, had a horrible experience. They never heard it from a successful person, or they hear it from somebody that don't even own real estate. So it's all about surrounding yourself with people that's actually doing the business, you know?
Right.
That part, yeah.
That's the crazy part, you know?
So
that's the same stigma with Section 8. Like, Section 8 is the worst thing ever. Nah, to me, that's the best thing ever.
Right.
The government never missed a check yet, you know? Even when the shutdown happened, they still was sending the check. They sent a letter saying, hey, we might, you know, run out of money or something like that. But, you know, they never missed a payment yet. It's all about where you get the advice from. I never went to my barber and asked him how to get my teeth whitened, you know?
Right. I know that's right. You better preach.
You know what I'm saying? Or your broke best friend trying to tell you how to be a millionaire. Well, why you not a millionaire? I can't listen to you.
Right.
So it's all about who you surround yourself with.
Right. And so I want to touch on cash flow for a second. What's your minimum cash flow on your rentals in order for it?
Why you all in his pockets, man?
No. I want to know.
Cut my pocket.
Let me say this, because most investors that own like the expert guru investors are like, oh, my minimum cash flow has to be like 200, 300 a door. So I want to know, you know, do you have a threshold where you're like, you know, it has to make sense at this number?
Yeah, me going in, my original, it was 300, but like everything, all the deals is way bigger than that. So I was making like 500 to 600 per house. So it went up. So if I don't make 500, well, it depends on the numbers too, on the purchase price, but it's usually about 500 per house.
Are you opposed to investing in the hood, or do you see the value in investing in the hood?
I have houses in the hood. Like the last two houses I bought off the MLS, I bought two bedrooms for $52,000, and they each rent for $600 a month. Well, $600, $650. My mortgage payment is $380. So why not? And then what's crazy about it is the people that move in the hood, they don't go nowhere. So why not? Yeah. You know, if you go to the hood, like my family still live in the hood. My grandma, 97, she been there all her life.
Right.
And then once something happened to her, it's just her family gonna move back in the house, and then just keep on going. So why not? Yeah, buy it up before somebody else do it.
Right. The crazy thing about the hood is it's really just like a neighborhood. I don't know why we call it the hood. I don't know why we give it the stigma of the hood. Yeah. It's just people.
Yeah.
They just got to live somewhere.
That is true. And then the hood usually be in the best spots. Like it's close to the highway, close to downtown. So, you know, maybe in 20 years, it might be the water. It might be, it might be a different type of people there. So you might as well buy it now before it happens.
Right. Absolutely.
Once it started, it's going to be too late. That $20,000 house is probably about to be $200,000.
Right. And then you'd be complaining like, oh, we can't afford nothing. Like you could have afforded it.
Yeah. Or we just need to stop selling our houses too. Like
that too.
Like when I'm sure y'all heard of Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's selling their house for pennies on the dollar. Now all them houses $400,000, $500,000.
Wow.
You wave that money in the air, they just take it.
Yep.
You gotta think long term. You can't think about it right now.
Right.
Even though you might need it, but sacrifice a little bit.
Sacrifice. What is your best real estate advice?
Just get started. Stop looking for excuses. Stop looking for handouts. Just get started. Fail your way to success. So when you fail, you learn the best lessons.
Right.
So that's my main thing. And follow people that you want to be like.
Yeah.
And then
one of the dopest things you said on here earlier is, and I kind of want to make this comment, is like your parents would have talked you out of buying that first house, but by buying that first house, now you own 16 and you've done multiple transactions. And I always tell people, like, sometimes we blow up that big goal, and so we can't get to what's on the other side of that big goal. So sometimes you just got to kick through the door of the big and scary. Most people, they never buy that house at 21, so they never can get to the 16. Like, a lot of what we think is big really isn't that big in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's really not that hard. Yeah. It's easy to buy investment than it is to buy personal property. Like, they was scary for a minute. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But at the end of the day, I talked to an uncle. He was like, man, just do it. And I was like, it is what it is.
Why do you say that? Why is it easier to buy an investment property than a personal residence?
Because when you're buying a business, commercial property, they focus on that cash flow. How much money is that asset actually making? So when you buy a personal residence, they want to be all in your business. They want to check in them bank accounts where this $200 cash came from. You got to get it notarized and stuff like that. They want to see where you working, 2 jobs, W-2s, stuff like that. And then when you buy a commercial, they're looking at the PFS, personal financial statement. And that's mainly the biggest thing. And then if you build a relationship with the bank, they're not even looking at your credit all the time because you got a good relationship with them. And that's the value of going to a community bank rather than a big branch.
And the dope thing about a personal financial statement is then you can put all your property on there. So a lot of people think it's just like your job.
Nah, they looking at you. They want to see what's that net worth.
Right.
You ain't worth shit. You ain't getting nothing.
So now you're stepping to a bank as a guy who owns 16 homes that are worth this with this much debt. And that's way different conversation than somebody who's just like, please just let me buy this house. So I can put my family in there. Way different conversation. Right.
And sometimes they don't even look at, you can buy a property with a lower credit score because you know what you're doing, and you're actually using your credit to build wealth and just instead of using your credit to buy BS.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, one thing that we didn't touch on is the dynamic of you being a full-time employee and running a successful business. Talk to the people about that.
Okay, like we go back to sacrifice, what you doing with all your free time. That's how I started, was all my free time on my job, after work, I was started educating myself, making phone calls. Like when I started, I didn't even have a computer. I had a cell phone, and that's it. And I still made it happen. I use my computer at work. If I would, had 2 screens open, I'm supposed to be doing something, but really I'm working on real estate. I wouldn't advise that. I'm not pushing that to people, but you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. The job is not guaranteed. The business can close the next day. They're not telling you that, they're going underwater. They're not reporting all that. So you never know when you lose that job. So you really got to make it happen in your free time. So that's really the main thing. And stop making excuses. Just get it done. And then you don't have to go out every weekend with your friends, because going out to the club ain't making you no money unless you own the club.
Right.
It's all about what you do with your time. It's time management.
A lot of people, they're like, I want passive income so I can go to the beach, but you get good passive income and you still go to work. What's the motivation behind that?
It's a lot easier to buy a property when you have a W-2. And I'm only 25. I was about to quit this year. I was like, what's the point? My job is the easiest job I ever had. I'm just collecting a check and leveraging the money that they give me. That's really all I'm doing. Because I don't really have to be there anymore, but it's easy, I'm making some good money. It's coming in. And if I want to take risks on my business, I can do that because I have a check that's coming in every 2 weeks. Right. I don't have to I have to calculate what I do in my business, but I have the more opportunities because I have that safety net behind me, But as being a full-time entrepreneur, you can't take all the risk because it might just take all the cash flow, or you might take all your money out your bank account. Right. But I have that same little check coming every 2 weeks. Right. So if something happens, I got a check coming. I'm good.
What's the long-term goal for you? What are you working towards?
Getting as many units as possible. So I did the single family thing for a while. I know it. So now it's time to move on something bigger. Mobile home parks, big apartment buildings, stuff like that. So that's the end goal, is to buy as much as I can, get as much cash flow as I can, and just keep it going. I'm not looking to stop no time soon.
Yeah.
So when I went to Chicago, I was learning Chicago real estate. I see they got a lot of abandoned buildings. So, that might be the next step if the price is right.
Do they call them bandos because they're abandoned? Is that what that means?
I don't know. I don't use the term.
You don't use the term bando?
No.
Why not?
I don't even know what it means.
Oh, well, it's kind of like a ratchet term anyway.
Yeah.
But I just
I'm sorry, what did you say?
She looked pretty bougie.
I just think it's dope because you went to the market and you're like, oh, abandoned homes, and you see opportunity, not like abandoned homes. You're like, oh no, I need to go to the suburbs.
Yeah. So every time I go somewhere, do it like for work or do something real estate, I want to see, touch, and learn the market, because you never know where your next investment could be.
Right.
So I was learning all kind of stuff in Chicago about some gardens. They can rent that out for $1,900 a month. Basements, we don't have basements in Louisiana, so I was looking at stuff like that. They got a duplex? No, they call them two flats and jumbo two flats, and what is Culver City? They're selling for less than 30 days a month. I mean, days on market less than 30 days. So you really got to learn when you go out to places.
That city.
I was close.
Yeah.
He knows more than I know about that city.
Yeah.
Because he went on the real estate tour.
So you touched on really quick investing out of state, and I know you invest in a couple of different markets. So I guess how far are your properties from you?
My about an hour and a half is my furthest one. So what I recently did was, so I can stop going out there, checking on things, getting stuff done, was I did a rent to own. So he on his own. That's your house. I become the bank on that situation. Nice. So now I don't have to go there at all.
And how do you structure that? Is that like a rent to own after 2 years?
I do. It just depends on what they want. I give them options. So basically, I really become the bank. You choose. You want to pay 30 years, 20 years, or 10 years. Depending on your down payment, that reflect your monthly payments. And that's how I do it. And then I do the rent to own option instead of owner finance, because rent to own, if you miss your payment, I can kick you out if I want to. I can evict you if I want to be an asshole like that. But when you do the owner finance thing, you really are the bank. You have to foreclose on them to get them out your house.
That's a gem.
So right now, I'm transitioning all my single families to rent to own, so I can basically become the bank, and I don't need a property management and stuff like that. And giving people opportunity to own a home that can't really own a home. And I even do it on Section 8. I don't know if that's legal either, but I do it.
Boss,
money is money.
To your free seminars to learn about how to fix their credit, how to, how to budget. They're making the connections. They're talking to the lenders. Like, you are becoming the bank. You also are becoming a pillar for the community. And yes, Section 8 does have programs where people can become homeowners. So that is something that it might even be an opportunity for you to partner with Section 8, where you actually can go in and teach their tenants about becoming a homeowners and sell your house to them.
That's what I do. I'm not partnering with them legally, but that's what I do. The money is green. I don't care where it's coming from.
They'll pay you to come in and do seminars.
Oh, all right. Another source of income. Appreciate
Government
that.
Contract.
I appreciate that plug.
I got you. So,
what's your favorite business book?
I don't think the 10X Rule is a business book, but that's a pretty good book.
I think it's a business book.
Yeah, it's a business book then. That's my favorite business book. Because I think Grant Cardone is like killing it right now. I don't agree with everything he said, but like he's going in the right direction. Like he don't want you to buy your own home, and that don't make sense to me. You paying for all the maintenance, the taxes anyway, You
are. No free lunches around here.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books. Definitely Rich Dad Poor Dad. So you definitely got to read that at least once a year, once every 2 years, because you pull out different things every time you read it.
You do.
Yeah, I haven't read it in
You do.
Yes.
You do.
7 years. I'm just bad.
Life is just so easy for you, isn't it?
No, nothing is easy.
Don't go to Rehab meetings, don't read business books.
And it's successful.
No, man. What I said was that
it just
I didn't say I don't read books. I said I haven't read it in a while.
Right.
But I definitely read it.
I got you. She make it look so easy, like they say on Instagram.
Right.
Anyway.
Who is somebody that you look up to and why?
Man, Greg Cardone, one of them. Y'all know Greg Parker?
Big business.
Yeah. That's another guy. Just a lot of people, really. The guy y'all had on recently, Doug.
Doug is dope.
Yeah, so I just really look up to a lot of people. People that's doing the right thing, doing things for the community, that's just inspiring to me.
Yeah.
So I really like that. So I really look up to a lot of people that's doing the right things. Well,
That's
look
cool.
like it. I don't really know them like that. But
Right.
Jay Morrison. That's just to name a few. I can give you a long list if you want.
Yeah. Last question is, what does wealth mean to you?
All right. Wealth is when you're making money and you sleep. You're not actually going out there swinging hammers, signing on to a computer. You're just making money, 24/7. You're getting the checks all the time that you really don't have to work for. And really, my biggest thing is generational wealth. So like I said, my daddy has that building. He has a couple, single family houses. So really, our generational wealth started with him. So whatever he has, it comes to me, and I have to build on top of that. I don't need to sell it. I need to build on top of it. Or if I do sell it, I need to have a plan, because then that's when generational wealth stop. If I just sell everything, take the money, of course, I probably will blow it. So then that's over. So it started with my dad. It come to me. I stack it on top. Now it's time for me to teach my son how to do it, and then he'll have it. He stack it on top, and then my great grandson should be a wealthy man by then. So that's really my main thing is generational wealth and just making money while you sleep. Why work hard for the money if to have opportunities just to collect money?
Right. Dope show, man.
Right.
Thank you for coming on. Where can people find out more about you? Where can they follow you? Where can they support anything that you have going on?
Thank y'all for inviting me. Real estate entrepreneur on Instagram, YouTube, ONeil, ONeil Parker on YouTube, Facebook, ONeil Parker as well, and it's pretty much about it.
Dope.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate y'all inviting me. I had fun.
Yeah. I mean, you really pressed, generational wealth. And then, love the fact that you have your monthly meetups because that's you giving back and for free. And, like the name of the game is that, it's bigger than us. So
it's not all about you.
Right. So keep doing what you're doing.
Of course.
Cool. So this is Charles Oglesby with Rashana Scott, episode number 114. Check us out on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Episode 114, signing off.